record. All right. Welcome everyone. I'm so happy to do these every once in a while, just to see your faces, because like Elizabeth was saying, we haven't been together in a long time. I am getting over, or I'm in the middle of a cold, so I apologize for that. Thankfully, I can't pass it to you over the computer. So, I've got my tea. I need it. Tea. This time Zoom is providing us with closed captions, so I hope that's helpful. And this is just a short Zoom, so you can go on to your Saturdays and hopefully it'll be the last one of your day and you can go outside and enjoy the weather, put up Christmas lights or something.
I want that guy to come put ours up.
Yeah.
Just did my neighbors. Come on, I'm burnt out.
You'd be busy. Yeah, so I apologize because of the cold. I hadn't time this week to put together like a more formal presentation, but I thought I could just we've done it before more informally, and I can also share my screen if you want to see maps and stuff. But I thought I'd give you a quick rundown on how we're doing with all of our projects and talk about what we're looking at for 2022, which is a few cool and exciting new things. And then hopefully time for questions, and you guys can let me know what's working for you or what you're excited about or anything else too. Because I'd love to hear about that also. So to start with, I'll just dive into it. A lot has happened this year. I'm actually shocked. I mean, it's been a rough year, right? And we're all kind of struggling, lots of quarantining and hard to get out and do some of the things. And then on top of a lot of it, we've had some serious supply chain issues on weird random things that have stalled us from getting some of our camera deployments out that we had planned, but looks like that's slowly getting resolved. So to start with, in Oro Valley, we have our Oro Valley project, which was our first, right? And now, wow, it might be 20 years we've been working on that. So in Oro Valley, we've studied 55 different sites over the course of that whole project, which is quite a lot actually. And right now we have 20 active sites, and those are equally on either side of Oracle Road. So 10 in Catalina State Park and 10 in Big Wash. And we no longer have cameras up north near the bridge because that's state land, and state land basically kicked out all of the biologists doing biological studies. More drama on that.
Why they kicked them out?
State lands, well, I don't know how much I can say in a public thing, but they're not very friendly, and they've been difficult to work with. Arizona Game and Fish is working with them, and so we've just let that go. Okay. And we're not trying to push it too much. And Game and Fish is still monitoring the bridge itself, so that's good.
And are the cameras still on the bridge and in the bridge?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, because that's actually on ADOT right of way, so we're good there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have access to their data, Jessica?
Oh yes, we're sharing back and forth. It's been really great. And actually, one really fun, exciting result this year was that this summer a mountain lion, I think the same female mountain lion that we photographed in Big Wash previously, year to year, went through the underpass in July. And then we didn't catch it on any of our cameras in the approach near the underpass. Oddly enough, she got past us, but we caught her on one of our cameras in Catalina State Park. Oh, wow. So we know that she went through the underpass from Big Wash into Catalina State Park and then went north, closer to the bridge, but north into the Catalinas that way, past the stables actually. So that's really cool, and I hope we see more of her. Maybe she'll move into the Catalinas more permanently, but that was a really cool, exciting thing, and it was really cool to be able to work with Game and Fish, and Game and Fish was like, hey, mountain lion went through the underpass, and then we were like, hey, we see another photo of her the same night over here. So that was cool. And we've been able to photograph things that Game and Fish hasn't caught in the underpass too, which is interesting, like the bighorn sheep that approached the underpass not too long ago. And And we were first to see badgers and coati and ringtail before they went through any of the crossings. So that's really helpful. So yeah, so we have 20 active sites now. The Sun City Foundation very kindly gave us a grant, and we matched that with donor funds. So all of the cameras that we lost to flooding this year for that project, and a lot of the older ones, they're starting to fail because they've been around for 5 or 10 years, we're able to replace. And I have them. They're here. Yay!
And they're good.
They're good, and the video, they have 4K video. The photo quality is really good. I'm liking them a lot.
Yeah.
We have been slow to get them out in the field because the boxes that go with them, the security boxes, they hadn't finished making them, and there was something with the powder coat. But I saw that this week they now have them for sale and available, so I'll be buying a bunch of those next week.
Mm-hmm. I just recommended that same camera to someone else because of the one that Don and I set out. I thought took such great pictures.
It's doing great,
and I like it too. It can do both stills and video, on
at
the same trigger.
time.
Yeah.
The other good thing about this one too is that it's a no glow. That means that it doesn't have an infrared blinky light at night, so it's less likely to be seen by animals or people. The more of a glow it has at night, the more crisp the night pictures get. So it's kind of a trade-off. But in a lot of the places where we are monitoring, we do have theft issues. So it's something I kind of care about. But the quality of the night photos seem to be pretty spot on and good too. And the video is great at night.
Mm-hmm.
So
the Gray Fox noticed that at night. These are all in all the videos we took. The Gray Fox definitely noticed the camera.
Yeah. So Don and Chuck got one of these cameras set up in Sanctuary Cove and have been getting really awesome video. I'm excited to start using more video in our outreach and stuff now. Yeah, so that project has been doing really well. Some side things with that is we've been working to get the fencing along Oracle Road tied up with some of the gaps in the neighborhood near the underpass. And that's rolling and going, and hopefully early next year that will be completely finished and we can do a ribbon cutting on that. Carolyn's still working to get funding. It looks like it was going to be through the RTA, but we might get funding from other foundations instead to do revegetation work on the bridge and in the underpass and fix some erosion issues. We have some really grand plans with creating a pollinator corridor across the bridge, as well as a wildlife corridor by putting in some agaves for bats and milkweeds and stuff, so that there's more cover for the animals and also a little bit of a pollinator corridor there too. And when that happens, we'll have the opportunity for volunteers to come outside and help us with plantings and stuff. So I'm excited about that. Then for our I-10 East project, we're starting to wrap that one up. And by the end of January, we'll have all of our cameras out of there. We've done studies on 45 sites at 10 localities, like 10 culverts along that stretch of Interstate 10. And we've seen 36 species, and some species that are really new to us because that corridor, because it's in a riparian area, sees a lot of really neat things we don't normally see in the Sonoran Desert. So we've been seeing black bear, we've been seeing mountain lions. Excuse me. For the first time, we got to see possum. And this is the Mexican possum. It's a subspecies of the Virginia possum. You might be more familiar with the really white face. These ones are smaller and they are native. So that was really excited to see. And we've been seeing turkeys and spotted skunks and lots of fun things like that. And a badger showed up recently, so that was kind of fun. And all the usual suspects. It's also been really interesting to see that deer are very particular about which ones they're using. And the mountain lions and the bears are also, and they don't use the same culverts. So all of this is going to help inform our final report, which will be out in July next year, with recommendations for where to put faunal fencing and which culverts to retrofit or modify or change into actual crossing structures for different species.
Jessica, how far out on East 10 does that your study go?
So we've been monitoring culverts and bridges between like Davidson Canyon Bridge is where we start. And then we go all the way to Imparita Road.
Wow.
So it's a pretty good stretch there. And then our roadkill surveys that were in conjunction with that went from Vail to Benson, like SR 83 to SR 90, and that was our stretch. So that's going with it. So that one's a lot of fun.
Just redistribute cameras after that, or?
Yeah, unfortunately, that site, because the cameras were mounted to the culvert walls, flooding, like the first year we didn't have so much trouble, but this year monsoon flooding was insane. A lot of the cameras, if they didn't get scraped completely off the wall and lost forever, I think Sam was able to recover one maybe.
Yeah.
I had one that was chained in addition to being attached to the wall, and it was buried like 2 feet deep. I was able to get it out because it was chained, but it was so they were just flood damaged. I have a whole bunch of flood damaged cameras that at some point I might take apart and try to wash and dry and put back together again and see if I can get it to work, but we'll.
So Jessica, of all these cameras that were destroyed, what did our donation do to replace? How many have we replaced from what we funded here over the last month?
Well, the donations that went in were able to replace everything that we lost. So we were able to replace everything. And with this I-10 East project, actually the plan originally was to start taking down a lot of those cameras and shifting them over to our Tucson Mountain project, which is going to be expanding, and we're adding sites there. So that kind of just helped that process along. So what we did is we didn't replace those cameras at I-10 East at all those sites. We just put them in their new places in the Tucson Mountains where they were going to be going. And it worked out really well that way.
It was
we're still monitoring each of the sites at I-10 East through the end of January. So those donations came in real handy, and we were able to do that. What else can I say about that one?
So what is the camera fleet number up to at this time? I know that when I had talked to the office about the loss this year and what we needed to replace, we were told that it was a 40% loss. So out of the 40% loss, what was our donation able to help you replace in the field? What number?
We were able to replace all of that. There was 32 cameras that we lost. And we were able to replace all of those.
Okay. We hadn't really been getting any feedback about this at all. And
I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
So, this has been months and months ago that we put out there to replace that, but we had never heard anything back from Carolyn, yourself, or
I'm sorry.
There was something, you did put something, I've read something that you had replaced them, that the donations had covered that. And it might have been in the newsletter when it was fascinating to read about Sam and Josh's adventures trying to find that.
I think that was in the volunteer update, which may not have gotten to you, Elizabeth. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I saw it there too.
But yeah, we were able to replace all of those. Not all of them have been deployed yet into the Oro Valley area because the camera boxes that go with them haven't been available. And what I did is I cut some of the old boxes to fit them, jury rig them for now. So those were able to get out as much as possible. But
well, I will just put one little note out here that as our family foundation calendar year is coming to an end, a lot of what they ask of us is reports on whether our contributions have been successful or not. And so we are on the hook for reporting back.
Oh my gosh. I'm happy to send you a write-up and photos of the cameras that have been deployed in the field and of the picture of like them all stacked together when we first purchased them.
I think that would be good, because the foundation at this time is having monthly Zoom meetings, but our calendar year is coming upon an end, and we really sort of, well, more than ever, we need this kind of feedback because we've now hired an outside foundation manager who requires much more accountability than we ever did before. So, while we absolutely love supporting the programs and we want to continue to do so,
Thank you.
it's troubling to me that I can't give them more information.
I will send that off to you right away. No worries about that. All you have to do is ask.
Okay.
We're happy to do that.
That'd be great.
And yes, we were able to purchase everything that we needed. So, and Chuck and Sam and who else is here who's been out, has already been able to deploy a lot of those. So, that's been great.
Wonderful. I'm so happy.
Yeah, we have full coverage. It's really great. And then in our Tucson Mountain project too, we've been expanding that project. So we've had mostly our cameras have been on private lands within the actual Tucson Mountain, like northern portion of it near Oro Valley Road, on private lands. And this year we've expanded that. So now we're covering El Rio Preserve with permits from Moreno Parks and Recreation, which has been really great. And we've covered the river. So we have cameras in the Santa Cruz River, and that part of the project is really cool too, because the U of A is doing a river project and our data is going to contribute to theirs also. So we're kind of adding to their data south in the river stretch. And in early 22, what we're going to be able to do is expand further across the interstate on Pima County conservation lands, an area, a Cascada development that they purchased. So we'll have cameras on both sides of the interstate now, and also inside the only crossing structure available currently across Interstate 10, which is a abandoned railroad underpass. So long term, what we're really hoping and what we're working towards and have been working towards is another wildlife bridge that spans the interstate and the railroad at Oro Valley Road near there. And so this data will provide sort of baseline data and also justification for that. So we're very excited to see that expansion happening and working with Moreno and Pima County also. And so now, because we have permits in place and we're putting those cameras out, we'll be doing annual reports to those agencies on that data, and I'll be able to share that stuff back with you guys also. Same with I-10 East project. We have annual reports to Game and Fish. The Heritage Grant helped fund that one, and Pima County. So all of that I can share back with you guys, which is pretty cool. Yeah, in the Tucson Mountain project, we did see another mountain lion this year. We saw spotted skunks this year. And then because we have expanded into the river, which again is a riparian area, we saw turtles and herons and a lot of other fun things we don't normally get in our species list. So that's been kind of fun too. So
was that because of monsoon rains?
It's just the nearby water. So an El Rio Preserve is really interesting. If you haven't visited, it's worth a visit for birding. There's going to be water there year round. So we worked with Moreno to get cameras in place before they added the water. Mm-hmm. Previously, this was just an overflow area. So when the river overflowed and breached, it would fill this little wetland area, this natural wetland area. And they've kind of developed it now, and now they're adding year-round water. So birds will stay year-round. It's a really important migratory pathway. But that means that the raccoons and the mountain lions and the bobcats and the coyotes, we have a lot of coyotes in El Rio Preserve. I think it's one family group, and we see pups and stuff. So it's kind of fun to watch that happening.
Cool.
So that's kind of neat, expanding. And then this year we added a new project. It's a small one in Soapery Ranch. Soapery Ranch is another wildlife linkage between the cattle, Santa Rita Mountains, I'm sorry, down near the Tumacacres in Amado. And we're working with the Arizona Land and Water Trust. They've purchased conservation lands down there. And we've got 5 new cameras set up down in Soapery. And this site is going to be really exciting to see. This is actually like jaguar ocelot kind of habitat. So we should see lots of lions and bears and ringtails and some of those fun things too. Sort of at the edge of the Sonoran Desert as it gets closer into some of those more subtropical habitat zones. So that'll be cool too. And that should help really advance more of their conservation work and getting funding for buying up more of those conservation lands down in that linkage too. So that's what we got going on right now. About 80 active cameras altogether across the region. Very exciting, very good stuff. And all advancing in each of those areas, different kinds of wildlife linkage conservation work through different working groups. Next year, we have some new stuff on the books too. I sent out a notice about fencing removal opportunity on the 11th, and I'm hoping that that kind of work will continue in the next year. This is sort of a new thing with the Oro Valley Working Group, a bunch of agencies and nonprofits getting together to try to make sure that linkage is protected. A lot of policy work, and it has to do a lot with the I-11 efforts that we're doing, but in our conversations, we realized that there was a lot of on the ground work that we could just get done, including removing a bunch of fencing that was problematic for wildlife. So we'll be doing that. And we've also been working with a bunch of groups, including Pima County Master Naturalists and some others, to start an annual BioBlitz event in the Tortolita Preserve. So we're involved with that, and that's another way volunteers can get involved for one-off events moving forward. And you'll hear more about that, I hope, soon.
What's a BioBlitz?
A BioBlitz is a really fun event. Usually it's a single day or a weekend or a week-long event where you go out and try to document as many species as you can in one particular area. So we're focusing on the Tortolita Preserve, which is an important part of the Tortolita to Tucson Mountain linkage, and getting that bridge put in across interstate, and also protecting the Tortolita Preserve in perpetuity, because it's leased from state lands right now. So we want to make sure that into the future that stays protected as a preserve.
Can you tell us what the broad stroke perimeters are of the Tortolita Preserve?
Broad stroke. It's this big chunk of land north of Tangerine Road towards like Dove Mountain.
Where we live, that's where Caleb and I live.
Yeah.
We're very part of in the Tortolita fan, but I don't know what you mean by the preserve. Because there are community developments out here called the preserve, but I don't know if that is what you mean by preserve.
Yeah, I'll have to send you a map. I think it's hard to describe, but it's a designated area that Moreno has designated as a preserve. It's leased from state lands. It's got a 99-year lease, which I think like 70 years are left on. And recently you might have seen it in our news and in your community about Moreno wanting to rezone that preserve and add development into it. Yeah, so we were
gonna take it from a R144 to a high density or 7 or something.
Yeah, so we're able to beat that back for now, but it's always something looming, right? We're hoping this BioBlitz kind of event, more than gathered scientific data, it's more intended to get community involvement so that more people are aware of it, in love with it, come out regularly and hear about it. So we have more community support for protecting it long term. So that's
is this BioBlitz part of what we're seeing here? We're seeing a team of environmental people all up and down a Camino de Oeste between Tangerine and Moore Road, with all the planned development that's about to happen there. There's like a whole environmental team that I think is in there counting. I
don't think that's part of the BioBlitz, because that's something that we are planning to do and it's not happened yet. So there might have, I don't know what that is about. Let's talk with Carolyn about, she might know more about what that's.
I know a little bit more about that, but I won't take up your time with that. We'll address that with Carolyn at another time.
Yeah. So that's coming down the pike.
Good.
The Desert Roadies program that we kind of sort of started with our road roadkill surveys. We have some ideas about how to expand that and maybe do something with bicyclists in some key areas. So you might hear more about that in the next year. I'm kind of keeping that on the back burner depending on my capacity in the next year. But that's something else that might be coming down the road for people who like to do that. I'm hoping we can start up our highway cleanups again soon as well. And we will be starting an internship program next year, also a paid internship program. So you'll see some more new faces and more going on with our programming with that also.
Oh, cool.
And then on more personal news, I'm going to go through a certification program to learn GIS. So wish me luck, but also hopefully there'll be some more cool maps and stuff in the future with all of our data. So
major luck. Good. Yep. Good luck with that. GIS is a beast, but
yes,
it's
GIS
doable.
is one of those things that takes like 20 times more time than you think it will. But it's a self-paced course, so we'll see how it goes.
It's boring.
Should be fun. And yeah, other fun things is that I don't know if you saw, but we have these new cool little enamel pins. Yay!
I bought one. I bought a pin.
You
I'm very
bought a
excited.
pin.
I
and
collect pins, so I was like, well, I have to have that.
It's so cool. And
Yeah, I found-
decals.
And
we're
key
gonna
rings.
be. I also have some plastic keychains for camera keys. You can have these freely. I'm slowly getting them out to people as I see people or hand things off. And early next year, we have plans for t-shirts and hats and swag and stuff. And we're actually going to be doing some work to get Indigenous artists and local artists to contribute to some of those designs and stuff. So you'll see that coming too.
Cool.
Lots of fun stuff happening at the same time. And that's a really quick overview of everything going on. If any camera teams are interested in adding to their team, please let me know, because I'm still hearing from folks who want to do camera work. But at this moment in time, we're pretty much set with volunteer teams taking care of cameras. So
I know that time when Caleb and I were doing it, and Chuck too. Chuck, you helped Caleb and I out at, what was that? Silver Bell, that volcanic area. Even Hannah fell and got hurt there. Remember, Chuck?
Oh my God.
That was a really tough camera site, and Chuck took it over.
Yeah, I think Carl's up there now doing a lot of those sites in Los Monteros.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, and I know Sam and Josh and a few others that are currently busy doing some of our really hard to reach spots in I-10 East are looking for spaces. So we've saved some room for them over in the Tucson mountains and stuff. So everyone will have space where they want. But yeah, as new people show interest, if there's teams interested or willing to add to their team, let me know and we can accommodate that.
And the thing that's absolutely great about this camera monitor program is your terrains are so varied. Some are very easy to get to. And so, the ability to get there is not as demanding as the one that was over on Silver Bell, but
right.
It was really a wonderful experience to be a part of the early monitoring system, and see what involved in doing this every month.
Yeah.
So we don't anymore, everybody, but we're still very much involved in the camera program and support it. And so, it's time consuming, and it's so wonderful that we can get, as Waylon has gotten so many of the young people involved in the program. I think that's really important as we go forward in the future.
Yeah, it really is. And with our new way of doing the identification of the photos, we've really been able to reach a lot more younger people and more diverse people, and folks who, like Lois, has been doing it from Canada for part of the year. So that's been really neat.
I'm here now.
Yeah, yay. But it's been neat to be able to see people doing it from all across the country in a way, and on their own time.
Well, and I think this pandemic has shown us that even though we're all divided by space, whether it's you can't go to their house next door or they're across the country, it's been really good that everybody can still come together for the common issue.
Yeah, it's been really neat. So that's
Cool.
a positive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for hosting this update. It was very helpful for us.
I'm glad, and maybe next time I'll have a more formal one, but for now I just thought it'd be good to
Oh,
give you the quick rundown, and then you can drink our coffee and go put up our lights and stuff.
I have
Next time you'll be
I have a, oh,
GIS,
sorry.
you'll have maps.
Maps, that's right, maps. No pressure. It's gonna take me like 6 months to get through the certification program, but hopefully I'll have something for you.
So my Zoom locked up for a while here, but did you talk about, I was wondering if you're running into any hurdles with 80 cameras and the data management issue here.
Chuck,
Oh,
bless you. Yes, absolutely. And big shout out to Virgil, who I saw here on here too. Virgil stepping up to take on more of a leadership role here with helping me manage the Tucson Mountain data set. And I'm hoping with this internship program, we'll have some more help with that too. And I just like, thank you all the desert identifiers for your patience, because what happens is the photos, you send the photos to me, I have to import them, which means download them into the database and then export the pieces for people to identify. And all that transferring of photos just takes like so much time. So I'm kind of a bottleneck for a lot of that, but
So,
it's slowly getting through.
one quick question. How long do you have your intern for?
We've set up the program so that they're by semester, and we'll have
Oh.
the internship program's really geared less to get help and more to be a mentoring program. It'll help us tremendously, but it's also to help them, and they'll be doing their project and all of this stuff that helps forward what they want to do in conservation. So it might be conservation policy with Carolyn, or wildlife stuff with me, or something. We're still filling in the details of a lot of that, but yeah, Virgil's has offered to help with that, and that's going to be great. And I'm starting to get my workflow more into my process, so we'll see. It's working. It's just there's a little bit of a lag between when we get data and when we get results to publish, right? So, but that's all right. And there's also a program you can go online and look up wildlife insights. They're still in a kind of a pilot beta mode, but we're in the queue to work with them. So that could be in the future something that we do where we upload all of our data to Wildlife Insights. It's saved in the cloud. And then other conservation groups and scientists can use our data across the world if it's useful to them. And it's tied to the Smithsonian. They use like AI to identify the species. They're not very good at things like rabbits and some of our more unique desert species yet. It's a learning system. But then volunteers would go in and verify that the AI is correct in some cases. So that's something we could do in the future. But for right now, what we're doing is pretty robust and it's working. It's just a little slow. So that's a fair trade-off as far as I'm concerned. And then Sam,
we could set up a direct download or download somewhere else and take you out of the middle of it, relieve you from that.
it's kind of hard because though our database is not in the cloud,
Okay.
and putting it in the cloud would be a really expensive endeavor. So it's something we're kind of looking